coming from the Trump campaign and the RNC. This is huge pertaining to the voter rolls and the swing states voting. So the RNC is literally now showing that they are filing lawsuits every single day across multiple states, especially in the swing states, to make sure that we have free and fair elections, because we have new evidence that there is a lot more places. We've shown you videos and we've got more evidence that there's a lot more places that are literally trying to turn voters away, trying to ask them to go ahead, fill things out, and that they will submit it into the voting machines. They can't give an explanation. They're using police in some matters, and it is insane. So there's more lawsuits that we're going to show you that are being filed, but this is great news, because the more that they're trying to prevent the Republican places from voting, that shows that the Democrats are getting very, very desperate. On top of that, they're now saying that, again, too, the reason this is happening is because overwhelmingly, the poll watchers are Democratic. They've hired Democrats to do the poll watching. And in some counties, in some cases, over 90%. So all this is being thrown into the mix of these lawsuits, that they're turning away Republican voters because it's overwhelmingly Democrat. The Kamala Harris campaign also is doing really bad right now with Mark Cuban and the horrible comment that he made about women and Trump and them not being stronger, intelligent. So they've literally told Mark Cuban, we don't want you to do any more interviews. They have also leaked out that they've told Biden that he is literally not allowed to even speak to the news. The sitting president has just been told you're not allowed to speak to the news because it's that bad for them. They don't want any more hiccups till after or till election. So now the new jobs report came out, and in a single month in the entire United States, we only added 12,000 jobs. This is by far the worst job report in 4 years. It is so bad. We literally lost almost 50,000 manufacturing jobs, and this is just blowing up again. People are making it go viral because they say, is this what the Biden-Harris administration is? They don't know how to create jobs in an economy. And on top of that, guys, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think Jake Tapper may have taken a red pill, because he literally came out and fact-checked Kamala Harris' campaign for one of the most blatant lies about Trump, about Liz Cheney, and it is just unreal that you hear him calling them out and saying they need to stop this. Stop lying to the American people. I love it. We got a lot of breaking news to show you today. Appreciate every single one of you. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button. We really appreciate the support. And thank you to everybody that is a member. Y'all are already tearing up the chat. Let's go. Everybody, Mr. Tracy J. Norby, Tracy Hall, Jackie Sealy, me, Calico Jane, Obi-Wan's Apprentice, Deanna Scott. Y'all are killing it. And thank you to everybody that gives and donates to the channel through a super chat donation. Super thanks. We are so grateful for you and your support and what we are trying to do. But let's go ahead and jump into the latest news of what's going on. One of the biggest surrogates from Trump making headways. Check it out.
Here Trump comes out of nowhere. He seems to be gaining traction. People who never voted Republican, who never voted at all, seem to like Trump. This seemed like great news if you're trying to expand your political party. And yet the Republicans in Washington were so offended by Trump that they couldn't even talk about him. I remember being at a Christmas party in 2015 with my aforementioned sweet wife at our neighbor's house. You know, it's all kinds of people sitting around, and someone mentioned Trump, and my wife, who's not political at all, says, I like Trump. I remember one of my neighbors goes, oh yeah, I like Trump. Oh, that's hilarious. And my wife goes, no, I do like Trump. Why, is that bad? And people, it was like the devil getting splashed with holy water. They just moved back slowly, staring at her like, is this person dangerous? That was such a shocking thing to say in Northwest DC in 2015. And I began to ask myself, why is Donald Trump so threatening? Is it because he's got some crazed extremist program? No. Everything he said was kind of moderate and sensible. Like, I don't know, we should have a border. And if we're gonna have NATO, maybe the countries in NATO should help pay for it. If we're gonna defend Europe, maybe they could, pony up a little bit. Why are we paying the entire bill. That didn't seem crazy to me. Boy, they treated Trump like he was a dangerous freak, like he just escaped from the state mental institution. Shackles on his arm and a butcher knife in his hand. Stop this man! And I just remember watching this. I wasn't emotional about it at first, but I remember thinking my neighbors all seem so reasonable and sensible, even the Democrats. All kind of normal people. I mean, I lived on their street. Why are they so mad about a guy who says stuff like we should have a border? And then I realized that they hated Trump because Trump asked questions they couldn't answer.
Boom.
Like, why are we doing it this way? And I remember thinking and saying, well, I don't know, why don't you just answer his question? If not having a border is such a good idea, if it's so important to have a tight labor market, or if you think tariffs are so terrible, why don't you just explain why? Why are you yelling at the guy? No matter what he said, he would get up and say, I think we should have tariffs. And they would say, racist! And I would think to myself, what do tariffs have to do with race? I was completely confused. And then over time, within about a year, I realized people hated Trump because they were guilty of crimes.
Boom.
And those people were my neighbors and coworkers. My mind exploded. I mean, ultimately, I had to leave the city where I spent my entire life. Because thanks to Donald Trump, I saw what it really was, which was a scam. It was the richest city in the United States. Its suburbs, 8 out of 10 of the richest suburbs were suburbs of Washington, D.C., and we didn't make anything. There was no business there. There was no production of anything. By the way, there was also no creativity or open-mindedness. How did these people get so rich? Well, by stealing. That's how. That had never occurred to me till Trump came. And yet everybody involved in the grift knew instantly the jig was up. If this guy keeps talking, we're in deep trouble. And I'm not even sure, and he's coming on stage in a minute, and maybe we can ask him. I'm not even sure that when he got to Washington, Donald Trump understood how corrupt the city was. I'm not sure he even knew. He sensed there was a problem. Neither he nor me nor any normal person had any idea that even before he got to the city, the CIA and the FBI would be working to destroy him. That's the threat that he posed to them. And what was that threat? Just being honest in a simple way about what he saw, telling the truth. They saw the truth as a mortal threat, and they see the truth as a mortal threat now. I really think, I mean, look, let's be completely honest. Donald Trump is the choice of American voters for president.
Let's go. That's the truth. I'm telling you this, guys. So check this out. There are some places that normally they're supposed to be checking ID. Check this out. More election workers are refusing to take ID. Watch this video. This isn't a place they're supposed to check ID. But check this out. Listen to what they say.
You see one of these young ladies over here?
This is real life, guys. Goes through. Walks up to the voter.
Oh, okay. I'm not allowed to look at that unless it says something.
She just said, I'm not allowed to look at that.
Oh, I gotta check that.
It's on all right.
That's a nice pearl color. So if everything looks good, you can take one of these stylus.
So they're literally asking, guys, this is happening right now. In this state, they're literally asking, well, how do I identify myself? Like, how am I supposed to? Oh, you just got to sign your signature. Watch this.
That's just crazy. It's absolutely insane.
The other way.
He's like, how do you know I am who I am? Oh, we just sign your signature.
Signature doesn't match, but they're still not going to check it.
They're still not going to check your ID.
Me.
That's crazy.
The better part is.
Do y'all see this? I'm telling you. So this is where the more lawsuits are coming out, because remember, they filed the lawsuit in Bucks County where it's overwhelmingly red, y'all. And check this out. Look at these long lines, huge long lines of people now being able to vote because they got the extra days to vote. This is what they were trying to prevent. not just in this location. Check this out. Also, right here. These huge long lines are wrapping around the building where people are just waiting to vote. Guys, this is the real news. The reason they filed the lawsuits, the reason why they won, they were trying to prevent people from being able to vote. I'm telling you, and this is crazy. Right now, in the betting markets, got to keep you updated. Trump has come down some, y'all. We got to keep the momentum going for Trump. Too big to rig. He's still beating her by a huge margin, but we got to make it too big to rig. And then we're looking at the most important states, Pennsylvania, 57-43 in the betting market, and in Arizona, 76-24. Got to win those, y'all, big time. Mr. Tracy J. Norby, thank you so much for the super chat. He said these special people don't know how to handle things. If President Trump wins, they hate despairing the Trump with every fiber of their being because they've lost their minds. Red wave and landslide is coming. Let's go. Y'all show Mr. Norby some love in the chat, everybody, because we've got more good news to show you guys. This is a good day. Things are looking really close. We're just days away from the actual election day, but check this out.
Cow chase, folks. All right, let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, whatever you're doing with the early voting, you are kicking ass.
Sorry.
More. Whenever you think it's enough, more. If your friends tell you enough, it's more. If mommy and daddy tells you enough, it's more. If you're telling your kids it's enough, your kids should say more. If your aunt and uncle said to your kids, hey, Joey, it's not enough, the kids should say more. Some of you can still go out and vote today. Why haven't you done it? More. They are freaking out, folks. Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Virginia. I'm going to show you, later on, I'm going to get to show a specific congressional district in Virginia, how bad it looks for them. I'm not telling you we're going to win Virginia. The Democrats could still turn out in mass on game day. That means do not sword off the cork on the freaking champagne yet. I'm just telling you, you guys, thank you. Can I take a moment for a second to thank you? And I'm not being about it. I'm telling you straight. As a friend in the movement, there's nothing special about me. I'm just some with a microphone, okay? That's all I am. There's nothing special about me. I put together a show you guys like, and I appreciate it. But I want you to know as one of you, thank you. What you guys are doing is real. The data does not lie. You are turning out in numbers so scary and frightening to them on the day after Halloween, they don't know what to do. They are figuratively in shock. They're in like a medical figurative shock right now. The Nevada numbers have them crapping in their diapers and they've run out of wipies. They don't know what to do. They don't know what you're making it mathematically impossible for them to scam in big enough numbers to fleece this thing. Then this just happened today. Let me say in advance, and I'm not messing with you. I don't wish a bad economy on anyone. However, if you're going to do crap things like the Inflation Production Act, mounds of red tape like we haven't seen in American history, flood the market with illegal aliens, destroy international trade, destroy the value of the dollar, you're going to get crappy job numbers. It's called Kamalanomics and Bidenomics. This just popped this morning, surprising absolutely no one. The jobs numbers were absolute yet again. Take a look at this.
Jobs report, and the prophecy came true. Jobs light, 12,000 in non-farm payroll. That is the lightest going back to December of 2020.
Sometimes I look in the chat for a comment of the day. Today it goes to Michael, who could be in the chat, but decided to say it out loud instead. Michael said, and they haven't even been revised down yet. They're at only 12,000 jobs, which might as well be negative. When they get revised down, I promise it'll be like minus 740,000 jobs. They haven't even revised it yet. Folks, everything you feel about the economy being ugly and bad right now is real. Is it the worst economy ever? It is not. Could the economy be growing at nearly 1.5 times the rate it is now if Joe Biden and Kamala weren't in the way? You bet you could. Folks, this is all about pictures and sound bites, all of it. And they are failing. They are failing. They are losing the messaging battle. They are losing the economics battle. They are losing the battle on the school choice front. on the healthcare front, on the immigration front, on the international chaos front. They are losing everywhere. And Donald Trump has stayed on message. Despite the Democrats' efforts to kick him into Jimmy and bring him off and pull him off into these side messages, he has stayed on message. Here's Donald Trump at the rally yesterday talking about exactly this. This is the message, the soundbite we need to hit. Check this out.
I would like to begin by asking a very, very simple question. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago?
Boom.
Hat tip Margot Martin from his campaign who took that on her cell phone. That's why I could have got that video, but I want you to see that because that is the message that's working. Folks, I need you to listen to me. I said this on the radio show yesterday. You have to understand how tactically right now the Kamala Harris campaign is in a free fall. Mm-hmm. They lost their last messaging day last night. And I got to tell you, because my audience is amazing, someone sent me an email. My email still floats around out there. Some people have it. And I actually don't read it. I'm not trying, but it goes to it. And sometimes people forward me stuff and say, you should need to read this. I said yesterday on the show, I don't know who was here for the late shift on the radio. I said their messaging opportunities are over. Folks, if Kamala Harris was going to change the narrative, Election Day is when? Tuesday. It is now what? Friday. It's a live show. Everybody wave. Here's my phone. Look, that's me on the thing. So there you go. Proof of life right there. Today's live, pretty much always live. Their last messaging day was yesterday, Thursday night. Nobody on a Friday night is sitting home waiting for a Kamala Harris speech on how she's going to change her campaign. Nobody's home on a Saturday doing that. Nobody's home on a Sunday doing that. Oh, Dan, maybe she's got Monday? Monday. You're assuming Monday that she's going to change, in that 24 hours, she's going to change her mind? Not going to happen. What was I bringing up about the email? A very astute listener, I'm surprised, many of you probably caught this, but this one was the only one who got through to me. He said, Dan, you're wrong. They're already done. It's Halloween yesterday, which I totally forgot. No, people were out trick-or-treating. Folks, if she needs to flip 1 or 2% of the electorate, millions of people, it's done. I'm not telling you the race is over. I want to be very clear. They can absolutely win this thing. I'm not kidding. Don't get cocky. There are a lot of people out there who are still on the sidelines. This thing isn't even close to over. But as I've said repeatedly, if you're a betting man right now and you got a gun to your head and you got to pick, you're damn right. I don't care who you are. You're picking Donald Trump.
DJT.
If it's life or death and you had to pick, you're damn right you're picking Donald Trump right now. He is well over 50% chance to win. But that's not making me comfortable. I want a 99% chance of winning, not a 53.5% chance. Their messaging opportunities are over. Mm-hmm. They're over. I'm sorry. And you know what? That goes for Donald Trump, too. He was out yesterday working. Kamala Harris was doing basically the same spiel she gives all the time, which is going to change nothing. However, there were sound bites that really stung yesterday.
Yeah,
I'm not
did.
talking about us. They tried to make something out of nothing with the Liz Cheney thing. That's not what he was talking about, Donald Trump, the thing about she was talking about Liz Cheney sending people over to war, not having skin in the game. Don't even pay any mind to that. That's actually, if you listen to it, that whole clip.
And sorry to interrupt, y'all. I do got the details on that in a moment to show you and get into detail about it. But I'm telling you, the left is getting desperate to try to find anything that's bad on Donald Trump to try to make him look like he shouldn't be president.
I'll understand exactly what he was saying. So forget that. That soundbite's not going to do anything. Matter of fact, if anything, I think the libertarian vote's going to be like, man, he's right. All these politicians love sending people to war. It's not their skin in the game. Ooh. I'm not even going to play it because it's not worth the time and I got a lot to get to. I will, however, play a closing argument for the Kamala campaign that did break through yesterday that I'm telling you sure as hell ain't working for them. If your closing argument is half of America is garbage and Trump, if you support him, you're a stupid woman, that smart women don't support Donald Trump, you're probably losing. You're probably losing. Mm-hmm. Why? Because it's soundbiteable. Soundbiteable. It's short. Donald Trump doesn't surround himself with smart women. A lot of smart women are going, really? You're saying I'm an idiot? It's a soundbite. That's why it hurts. Who said that? Another Kamala Harris surrogate, Mark Cuban, who, Michael, would you agree? Keep this guy out there. Is there a way for us to finance Mark Cuban's reserve? We should get like a give, send, go going. Keep Mark Cuban on the campaign trail. This is exactly the soundbite you don't want. Check this out.
Donald Trump, you never see him around strong, intelligent women, ever. It's just that simple.
That's so bad.
Thank you for leaving that in. What? It's just that simple. Why is this destructive? Number one, because it's patently offensive, stupid, and moronic. But folks, a lot of campaigns, Republican and Democrats, say stupid, moronic things all the time. It's a soundbite. How do we know it's a soundbite? Guy, how long is that whole clip? Play it again. This is what's called a soundbite.
Donald Trump, you never see him around strong, intelligent women, ever. It's just that simple.
Oh, it's so bad.
6 seconds. It's just that simple.
It's that simple.
You don't think that thing is rocketing around suburban mom America, who may be on the fence going, you know what? I don't know. Maybe I'm not a huge fan of Donald Trump's personality, but life was certainly a little better. Is this guy calling me a moron? Folks, do not for a second downplay this. It is a soundbite. Listen to your boy here. I will never steer you wrong. If he would have made a more elaborate case, bear with me a second. If Cuban would have said that in, say, 10 or 12 sentences, but still made the same point. If you're a woman, you're an idiot. You shouldn't support Donald Trump. But said it in a more verbose way, it wouldn't be as damaging because no one's going to listen to it. People don't have time. That 6-second clip is gloriously bad for this idiot. Keep this guy on the campaign trail. My gosh, a smart business guy. They're probably the single worst spokesperson I have ever seen. Can we, seriously, is there a way to I know he's rich, but can we finance Mark Pack or something and get some money to get this guy out there over the weekend? I mean, has there ever been a more out of touch billionaire who has no relationship to the American voter whatsoever? Why do they keep letting this guy talk? Now, some more good news going into the weekend. Again, I'm going to give you, there's a lot of good news, and I want you to love it, and I want you to feel good. I feel amazing. A very good friend of mine, you both know in the business, reached out to me yesterday and said, how do you feel? I'd show you the text, but again, I want to put people's number, obviously, on the screen. I said to him, and I quote, I am feeling amazing. I'm feeling amazing because I know you're going to execute. I know it. I know it. Make plans for election day. I know it. I have never felt better. I called it in 2016. I was worried in 2020. I feel great now. Why? Going back again to have, now he's becoming famous on my show, Harry Enton on CNN. Damn, why do you keep playing CNN? Because I don't want to be accused of giving you propaganda. I'm giving you both sides. This is a CNN analyst, yet again, saying to Democrats, if these guys pull this off, man, don't you dare say you weren't warned. The signs are everywhere. Watch this.
They have been gaining in party registration versus the Democrats in the swing states with party registration. We're talking Arizona. I think it's a 5-point. They've expanded their lead from 5 points from where it was back in 2020. How about Nevada? Big Republican registrations there. They like the early vote. How about North Carolina? Big Republican registration games. How about Pennsylvania? We spoke about it before a few months ago. Big Republican party registration gains versus from where they were 4 years ago. So yes. Republicans are putting more Republicans in the electorate. The Democratic number versus the Republican number has shrunk. And so the bottom line is, if Republicans win, come next week, Donald Trump comes next week, the signs all along will have been obvious. We would look at the right direction being very low, Joe Biden's approval rating being very low, and Republicans really registering numbers. You can't say you weren't warned.
Boom, y'all. Right there. I'm telling you, it's across the board. They're seeing it again. It's crazy that it's wonderful that the polls are showing that Republicans were winning. We're doing really, really good. We're getting the vote out there, early voting. But it's also, too, this keeps happening. Look, guys, it's not the same person. It's multiple people just saying, look, they're taking it with their phone. They're trying to click Donald Trump. and nothing is happening. Look at that. It just clicked Kamala Harris when they picked Donald Trump. If you're going through this and you're not paying attention, you will literally vote for the wrong person. On top of that, look at this. Paper card rejected. People going in, Donald Trump putting it in, and guess what? It's being rejected. Like, you can't make this crap up. Everywhere, the coding bugs, the Dominion machines, all these things are trying to come up against Trump, trying to come up against the Republicans, but guess what? Too big to rig, y'all. We got to make it too big to rig. On top of that, I'm gonna show you something because there's actually a bigger scandal going on with the White House right now that's going to show up before Congress, not just with the Mark Cuban thing, but also with what Biden said. The stenographer changes, the website changes. Check this out.
So the Harris campaign surrogates Mark Cuban dishing out this insult.
Donald Trump, you never see him around strong, intelligent women, ever. It's just that simple. They're intimidating to him. He doesn't like to be challenged by them. And, you know, Nikki Haley will call him on his nonsense with reproductive rights and how he sees and treats and talks about women. I mean, he just can't have her around. It wouldn't work.
Now prominent Republican women in Trump's orbit are putting Mark Cuban back in his place.
On blast.
The mainstream media covers for Kamala Harris, and they don't hold her to the same standard that they hold Donald Trump. She should take it upon herself. Go to a microphone today, Kamala Harris, and condemn this disgusting insult on more than half of the females in this country who want to support Donald Trump.
What they stand for and what they believe is not where America is today. So when he came out, you know, they're in full panic mode, I think, on the other side. And I think that from calling our side Nazis to garbage to now calling women dumb and unintelligent and weak around Donald Trump almost is the last straw for 100 million women in this country.
If you are a school teacher, if you are a U.S. military member and you are a woman and a Trump supporter, then to Mark Cuban, you are stupid and weak.
It's a disgrace, and Kamala Harris stays silent.
Cuban's words are mean, sad, and misogynistic.
Just a hunch, but I bet on Election Day, strong, smart women will remember.
I'm proud to join the millions of smart, intelligent women who will stand with Donald Trump this Tuesday.
So our next guest is one of them, Kayleigh McEnany. Look at her resume right there. Harvard Law grad, law school, a former White House press secretary, best-selling author, and now she's a Fox News host and a mother of two, and she joins us right now. So that's just the resume. Kayleigh, I think you're an accomplished woman. What did he mean by that?
You know, that was very kind introduction there. I will say, I can't interpret his words. They were crazy. If he wants to test his theory that Donald Trump doesn't surround himself with intelligent and strong women, I'm happy to do that if he wants to have a Lincoln Douglas-style debate about the issues of our time. I can test his hypothesis, and I can prove his hypothesis wrong. But it's not about me. It's not about the other amazing, accomplished women who are on the cover of the New York Post. It's about you. It's about the viewer. It's about the women I met at rallies, the mothers, the hard workers, the accomplished professionals, those who are working in all different types of industries, smart, innovative. That is what this is about. He insulted them, and there is no place for that in this country. And look, he gave an apology. I guess that's better than an apostrophe, which is what Joe Biden gave us. But I have cause to question the apology when he doubled down on his statement. He said, ever, and then he said that is the truth, or he made some kind of intuition there, a double down, an underscore of his statement. There wasn't this aha moment after he said it.
So real quickly, in the final stretch, I mean, you take these comments, you take the garbage comments, I mean, all of them together, this can't be good for the final stretch, right?
Not at all. Look, voters are used to this. If you support conservatism, if you support Donald Trump, if you are half of the country, you have been called deplorable, irredeemable, garbage, unintelligent. We can't find countries on a map if you watch CNN's Don Lemon. Like, that is what we have been told. People talk about get out the vote operation, and yes, that matters, going out knocking on doors. This might be the single biggest get out the vote operation. Thank you, Joe Biden and Mark Cuban.
There's another controversy in the White House right now. The stenographer's office, they're upset about what's happening there. These are career officials, they're not partisans. I got to be honest, I had never heard of this office before this, but they're pushing back on the White House changing the record.
Yes. So I mentioned that apostrophe. The White House immediately pointed to a transcript because there was an apostrophe there. They said Joe Biden wasn't insulting supporters. And I immediately thought, okay, well, the transcript is created by career government officials. So not Karine Jean-Pierre. There's a stenographer who's in the room who takes notes and has a transcript. But the transcript is not meant to amplify your message. It's meant to verify the truth. I remember one time a reporter we thought shouted a really crass word at me. We went to the stenographer not to change a transcript, but to verify what was said. The White House changed the transcript, and you have career government officials saying, we gave a transcript to the National Archives that is different from what the White House edited. This is a huge scandal. This is literally changing the truth, and every reporter should be very angry at this breach of trust.
You know, I just think about if Donald Trump's administration was there, you were the press secretary, and this happened in your press shop, what would the response be? And it wouldn't be as kind as we see right now.
I would have been cannibalized and eaten alive, quite literally, by Jim Acosta, Caitlin Collins, and John Carl. I wouldn't have made it out of the room if I had done this. Let's see what happens to Karine Jean-Pierre today.
Nothing.
Guys, I'm telling you, like, there's so much change. Like, it's just bad because when you see they're changing transcripts, they're trying to change history as we're seeing it. People that see things, hear things, they're trying to change it. Listen to this guy. I'm telling you guys, please be careful. Tell people to be careful when you are voting.
So I just went to vote and somebody else has my exact name and same birthday in the same state, and it says when they scan my license that I already voted. And yeah, I don't know what's going on, dude. Is this like a common thing that people are running into? Like, I have a very weird name. Like, there's not a lot of people with my last name. It's a German last name. It's not like John Smith or anything, but yeah, the same birthday? And like, how do you scan my license and say that I already voted? Like, I have a very specific license number. Like,
yes. I'm telling you guys, there is a lot of fraud going out. They're catching it. Remember the over 100,000 ballots that were caught over there in where? In Michigan. That they found them. Where are they all coming from? A lot of these people that shouldn't be voting, non-citizens, we're trying to get them off the voter rolls, but it's still happening. No matter what, we got to make it too big to rig. We got to pull up and show you what my boy Scott Jennings said. Check this out.
This week marks a huge mistake for Donald Trump in a community within the Latino world that he desperately needs.
Yeah, would you say that as far as surrogates go this week, it was a bigger problem for a comedian that most people have never heard of? Or was it a bigger problem for Joe Biden as a surrogate to call half the country garbage? Or even a bigger problem today for Mark Cuban to insult women voters who are thinking of voting Republican? Of those three surrogate issues, which would you say, Biden and Cuban, or this guy I can't even remember his name?
The one difference in that is the reaction to it. I see your point, Scott, and we obviously talked about Biden's remark here. We're going to talk about Mark Cuban's comment in a moment. But Biden came out immediately to clarify that. Mark Cuban came out today to talk about his. Donald Trump has just claimed he didn't know who the comedian was at his
I'm sure
rally.
he doesn't, A, and B,
But he's still at his rally.
the campaign had a statement out before Donald Trump ever even took the stage. They dealt with it immediately.
No, that statement came out after the rally was over. I know because I was at Madison Square Garden for 8 hours on Sunday.
Again, the campaign is not the candidate. The candidate could have persuaded and spoken against this, and he has not.
Then you must agree that it's been kind of weird for the Kamala Harris's campaign through anonymous statements from staffers to change all of her positions on every issue then?
Wait, Scott, just come back
She
to
is not
You
going to change
had a guy
it.
on the stage
Yes, she
at
did.
Madison Square Garden, the most prominent arena in the country, insult the Puerto Rican people.
Joe Biden insulted half the country. Mark Cuban insulted half.
But that's a great
the other half of the
redirection.
country.
I want to ask you this.
Are there more Puerto Ricans or more women?
He
Joe Biden's
insulted
also
the
not
Puerto Rican
running.
people. And
Neither is
Trump,
this comedian.
Trump took a pass on it.
I'm sorry,
you're a
I'm
former
sorry.
campaign manager. You would never let that happen, would you? Would you?
Look, number one, this pre-program was not helpful. I've said that numerous times. Number two, the fact that you all want to turn this campaign into something about an idiot comedian and want to ignore the clear bumbling stupidity of the president and Mark Cuban, to me, speaks volumes.
Boom. I tell you what, I love it. You can't beat logic and facts. They try to deter, they try to hinder, but this is what I want to show you. Thank you so much, Maria Winter, for the super chat. Let's go. Show Maria some love in the chat, everybody. What they're trying to make into this huge problem about what Trump said. I'm going to show you what the facts are, but then I'm going to show you maybe he's going to be our boy one day, Jake Tapper, because he took a red pill this morning for what he said about Kamala Harris's campaign and their constant lying. Check this out.
What former President Trump said about Liz Cheney.
She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy. But she's a stupid person.
Liz Cheney responded on social media with this. This is how dictators destroy free nations. They threaten those who speak against them with death. We cannot entrust our country and our freedom to a petty, vindictive, cruel, unstable man who wants to be a tyrant. And the legacy media also quick with reactions in these headlines. CNN, Trump says Cheney should be fired upon an escalation of violent rhetoric against his opponents. Washington Post, Trump suggests war hawk Liz Cheney should have guns trained on her face. New York Times, Trump attacks Liz Cheney using violent war imagery. And bad. Rolling Stone said this, Trump fantasizes about putting Liz Cheney in front of a firing squad. Now the Trump campaign is responding. Here's a quote. President Trump is 100% correct that warmongers like Liz Cheney are very quick to start wars and send other Americans to fight them rather than go into combat themselves. This is the continuation of the latest fake media outrage days before the election in a blatant attempt to interfere on behalf of Kamala Harris. Charlie Hurt.
Well, I think you said it, Harris. This is kind of the silly season. This is where the truth doesn't matter. It's an obvious distortion of what Donald Trump was saying. And you know, I think it's kind of interesting. He doesn't actually get credit for one of the most significant things he's done within the Republican Party, which is to drag the Republican Party from being the party of global intervention and wars into a party that believes in being very powerful and terrifying our enemies, but using power very judiciously. And obviously he was attacking her on those grounds. But I also think that at the same time, it's also not part of the campaign's closing argument is not Liz Cheney. The closing argument is the border and the economy. And but, you know, Donald Trump doesn't do things the way normal campaigns do, and he's been very successful at that. But I wish we would just sort of talk about the, you know, economy and the border and crime.
Or the gift that they got handed.
Yes, and they were trying to change the subject. Democrats want to change the subject from the garbage comment to something else, and this is what came along.
That's where it's at,
He's created another shiny object. But regardless of all of that, they're blowing out of proportion his words if you just take the words versus the context of that.
Absolutely, Harris. I want to have a word about the media, to your point exactly. Look, CNN at 11:18 a.m. had a chyron up, and this is what the chyron said. Liz Cheney slams Trump after he calls for her to be shot. Okay. We all heard the statement. Nowhere does he call for her to be shot. That is a defamatory chyron, but if you're walking through an airport and you cursorily read that, you think that's what he said. If you listen to what he said in context, it's very clear what he said. He said, what if the shoe were on the other foot? And it wasn't us sending your boys and girls to war, but our politicians were going to war. How would they feel if their life was threatened? Would they take those decisions way more seriously? And it made total sense to me because this is at Donald Trump's core. If you know him, if you've observed him for 8 years, one of the cornerstones of his policy is something he said on Wednesday, and it stood out to me. He said Wednesday, they've sent our blood and treasure to fight in stupid foreign wars where the countries don't even know who we are and we've never heard of the countries. He views your son, your daughter as a treasure. And when it's taken lightheartedly and sent off to war, that's why he was such a critic of the Iraq War, he takes that personally. What if the shoe were on the other foot? That is all he was trying to say.
He also, Emily, knows what we're up against with Iran now. And Israel perched to do something with each other that could look like war. He knows that Russia just had North Korea put troops on the ground to help them fight against Ukraine, and they have kits, and they're ready to go. Like, he knows all of that. So then the question becomes, you know, how much is he right about the fact that it would seem like the left is pretty disengaged from that military population And I feel that way sometimes, having grown up brat. Right. Army brat, but sometimes just a brat.
Exactly. And, I felt that, to your point, Kaylee, that his comments were coming with the nuance and the wisdom of a former president. Mm-hmm. This is someone who said, yes, our blood and treasure does not occur without a human making the decision, a commander-in-chief, a Congress to approve the funding for that to happen. It was coming from, in my opinion, a position of appreciation of the depth of the import of the weight of sending our troops to war, to combat, to deployment. And so the fact that, as always, the media chops it up, amputates it, distorts it, and then puts it, what can fit in the 120 characters on a chyron, to me, it's such a disservice to the American people and to a president that was actually speaking very, very crucially about the nuance, about the weight of those decisions, and about the humanity required to make those decisions. But as always, they're grasping, yes, for the shiny object. Let's get the turn out of the garbage, trying to save themselves, trying to demonize him yet again. But if you just give it more than 10 seconds, more than a glance at a screen, you're going to see that it was actually full of totally poignant, important perspective.
Yes, and I'm telling you this, everything that you just heard there, I'm telling you, media, there's some people that you would never have heard them in the past actually call the left out, but things are changing. Check this out.
When Trump said he was going to do something for women, whether they like it or not, whether the women like it or not, he was talking about protecting women, whether they like it or not. Certainly you can take issue with the language, but he wasn't saying he was just going to do whatever he wanted, regardless of, Anyway, but let's talk. I mean, but you take my point. You don't disagree, right?
I'm
saying I'm going to protect them, whether the women want me to protect them, whether right.
And some would say that's misogynist, and that's.
But it's not as she presented it.
I think. Look, ultimately, I think we have to be careful in these last days. We did this in 2016. He's going to say something horrible, ridiculous, over the line. So
just quote it accurately.
No, that's not my point. I just don't think we need to say every update, because the point is where she went.
Did you hear that? This woman literally said, we don't need to say the updates or say what actually was being said. We just need to say whatever he said was bad. That's what we need to stick to and soundbite it. And it was not even what he said. And this just goes back to the point where he said, there's murderers, there's rapists, there's people coming in that are trying to hurt our women and daughters. And guess what? We're going to protect them. We're going to make sure they're safe. Because when you look at what happened over the past, look at this, 3 presidencies. How many aliens are paroled into the U.S.? 350,000, Obama, 155 with Trump. Look at this, Border Patrol, 717,000. Office of Field Operations, 965,000. And these people aren't vetted properly. They're not going through the due diligence like they're supposed to make sure that we're going to have America safe. They're just trying to get them in to try to turn them into voters. And this is what Trump is talking about. We need to protect our women, our daughters from all these crazy people that want to hurt them. And I'm telling you this, it's getting bad when the media has given up that Trump's going to win. Check this out.
There's also this. TV insiders are reportedly in panic mode at the thought of another Trump victory. One unnamed media executive telling New York Magazine, quote, if half the country has decided that Trump is qualified to be president, that means they're not reading any of this media, and we've lost this audience completely. A Trump victory means mainstream media is dead in its current form. And the question is, what does it look like after?
Joe Conscious, a Fox News contributor, he joins us now. That extends not just to TV, but to newspapers as well. Could that help explain, Joe, why the Washington Post is reportedly paying for advertising on social media platforms to boost its own stories that are criticizing Trump with just a few days to go before the election, i.e., they're worried about their survival?
And they should be worried about their survival. What did we see over the last week? Over 250,000 subscriptions canceled to the Washington Post. And if Donald Trump wins, that's the only thing, Todd, that will keep that paper afloat because people will read it because of the hate coverage that happens there. But let's put it this way. Here's the deal, to use a Bidenism. Trump is far more accessible, has done far more press conferences than Kamala Harris, who was hidden from the press for more than 6 weeks after Biden stepped down. We've seen this time and again since July. The media makes up a lie. There's no evidence for it. The media friends and politicians echo that lie. A narrative is established. The public believes it, and the damage is done. So excuse me if I'm skeptical here just a little bit about an unnamed executive talking about journalism being in big trouble, because legacy media, especially over the last couple of weeks, has done itself no favors, where they've been basically an extension of Kamala Harris's campaign. There's no arguing that. They, for 3 days, pushed a story about a comedian who told a joke 3 hours before Donald Trump spoke at a rally at Madison Square Garden, thinking that was a big deal. And then when the sitting president of the United States calls half the country garbage, they try to cover up for it. That in itself, that one example, is exactly where journalism is right now. And if it dies, well, it's already dying, believe me, in the eyes of this executive. I'm sorry, there's not a lot of sympathy here based on the way they've conducted themselves, especially since July. No question.
So, Joe, in this New York Magazine piece, another unnamed, this time it was a political reporter, worried covering Trump would take away from other important stories. And this reporter said, if he is trying to turn America into an autocracy, could investigative reporters embark on a series about sexism in girls' sports? Maybe, but I think if there's actual things to investigate with a president, it would be hard to use those sorts of resources for much other than that. So this reporter is already planning an investigation of Donald Trump before the election has even happened. An investigation over what, I guess we'll find out.
They'll figure something out.
I'm telling you guys, it's getting nuts. I just want to say thank you, Mr. Norby, for the super chat again. He said, you know, Fetterman came out on the air one night, spoke about how Trump has gotten the following. He said it's really huge, and he's got something special, very real going on. Trump gear, shirts, hats on 100-foot tables, 100%. The support for Trump is real. Thank you, Joseph Evans, for the super chat. He said, I wish we could have somebody stand at the election poll lines, pouring them out about how important it is for them to check their ballot over very carefully. They are. I believe this is why we're catching them, though, Joseph. Thank y'all so much for the super chat. Y'all show them some love in the chat, everybody. This is why we're getting the videos. This is why we're seeing so much of the lawsuits coming through, is because people are being told, hey, let people know, show this, share this, so that other people feel that they can share it too and not feel weird or anything about it. And that's what I love. We need election integrity 100%, because this, to me, is the most important election. If Trump and the Dream Team can win, we can change America for the better forever. It would be amazing. I love it. Thank you to everybody that's watching. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button. We thank you for all your support. And thank you so much to all of our members of the channel. Remember, if you want to join, the link is in the description to join. And also, too, thank you to those giving the super chat. Mr. Tracy J. Norby, Maria Winter, Joseph Evans, David Mellon. Thank you so much. Welcome to the family. Y'all show them some love in the chat, everybody. We've got the best chat out there. We got the best channel out there, guys. We're going to grow it to over millions of subscribers. Y'all are the OGs right now. It starts here. Love you all. Appreciate you all. And I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.